Today, in the middle of Pesach, Passover, we actually learning Parsha Shemini. In last week's Parsha, we spoke about 7 days during which Moses and Aaron inaugurated the Mishkan, or were inaugurated actually into the Mishkan. In this Parsha, we learn about the following day, which is what Shemini means, the 8th day. 8 is the number of transcendence. And let's look at it. 6 is physical world. 7 is the elevation of Shabbat towards the spirituality. And 8 is the combined power of the physical and spiritual together, elevating both. It is above 7 and associated with the spiritual world. The Shekhinah, the godly essence, came down on the 8th day into the Mishkan, the Tabernacle. The Kohen Gadol is wearing 8 garments, as we learned, 8 ingredients of the anointing oil, 8 rods to carry parts of the Mishkan. The sacrificial animals must be at least 8 days old before they are sacrificed. 8 is the number of musical instruments used by the Levim in the tabernacle and later on in the temple. We celebrate 8 days of Hanukkah, and the baby boy is actually circumcised. The brit takes place on the 8th day, which is when his neshama is activated. So the 8th day in the Mishkan was started very nicely. Aaron and his sons officially begin their job as the Kohanim, priests serving in the Mishkan. First they prepared the sacrifice, and then all Jews came to the entranceway of the Mishkan to watch as they bring the sacrifice up on the altar. And then Moses and Aaron blessed the people, and everyone sees the godly fire which came down from heaven and consumed the sacrifice, which is acceptance, godly acceptance of the sacrifice. The people are so overwhelmed and overjoyed by this amazing sight that everyone begins to sing praises to God. But then, in the middle of all this celebration and excitement, something terrible takes place. 2 of Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, light a fire, which they were not advised to do, and bring it as a sacrifice. That they are not supposed to bring this, and as a result they are punished by death. You can imagine how sad this tragedy makes Aaron, but he does not say anything. He remains quiet and accepts God's judgment. Moses tells Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Itamar, to continue conducting the service in the Mishkan. And they do, while the rest of people of Israel mourn Nadav and Avihu. We are not going to discuss the reasons why Nadav and Avihu were sacrificed, because there is so much negativity right now. I don't want to discuss this negative aspect of it. We'll look at other aspects of this parsha. Next, we learn about the law for Kohanim that God tells Aaron directly, not through Moses. Whenever they will be serving in the Mishkan, Aaron and his sons, the Kohanim, are not allowed to drink wine and become intoxicated, drunk. And this is one of the major reasons they believe that Aaron's sons were killed, because they were intoxicated. So then the parsha switches to the kosher laws. God tells Moses to tell Israelites about the animals that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. Kosher animals, those that are permissible, and they have two signs. They chew the cud, and they have got split hooves. Kosher fish must have fins and scales. We are given a list of non-kosher birds and a list of 4 types of locusts which are kosher, which we don't know what they are, so locusts are no longer kosher either. And then the Torah tells us that all other insects are not kosher, and definitely not bats and not snakes. We also learn about the idea of purity, which is like a spiritual type of cleanliness. If something becomes impure by touching something impure, for example, the dead body of a non-kosher animal, let's say, then it must be immersed in a special body of water called mikvah. The mikvah has a special power to restore purity to things like vessels and dishes and pots and pans and people that have become not pure due to various reasons. Maybe they attended a funeral. The dietary laws provide a list of permitted and forbidden species, animals, fish, and birds. What is the logic of these laws? And why are they placed here? What is the connection, their connection with the sanctuary? If we go back in the history, the first command God gave to first human was a dietary law, as a matter of fact. And this is what God said. You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat it, you will surely die. As you can see, it's a dietary law. The dietary laws of Shemini parallel the prohibition given to Adam, and they are marked by laws about what one may eat or may not eat. Why? Because, look, the same as sex, so is eating. They are most primal activities shared with many other forms of life. With sex, there is no continuation of species without it. Without food, even one individual cannot survive. Never mind all people, everybody will die without food. However, there are different approaches to both of those aspects of major basic aspects of life, primal, sex and food, in different cultures. First one, on the one hand, there are hedonistic cultures in which food and sex are seen as pleasures and pursued as such. Like, as an example, Roman orgies and Egyptian immoral behavior all over the place, as we know in history. On the other hand, the ascetic cultures, marked by monastic seclusion, in which sex is avoided and eating kept to a minimum. And we know a number of monasteries, for instance, where this is the way of life. They do not engage in any form of sex and they eat very little. Some of them survive on water bread. For the first emphasize the body and the second emphasize the soul. Judaism, by contrast, sees the human situation in terms of integration and balance. We are body and soul. Hence, we Jews are neither hedonistic nor ascetic. We are somewhere in between. I would say we are transformative. We are commanded to sanctify the activities of eating and to sanctify the activities of sex. From this flow the dietary laws and the laws of family purity, nidah and mikvah. The key elements of Kedusha is the life of holiness. Many Jews still believe that kosher laws are basically outdated today. This is what they reckon, after all, in the desert, our ancestors needed to protect themselves from all sorts of diabolical diseases, so some kind of dietary system was required. But today, they argue, in an age of refrigeration and government inspection and modern hygiene standards, the kosher laws are archaic, anachronistic, and not really important. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. This is very sad, actually. The fact is that the kosher laws were never given to us for health reasons. Never. If they happen to be healthy or provide good hygiene, that is only purely a fringe benefit. It may well be one of the perks, but it wasn't ever a main reason for those laws of kashrut existing. No. So let's be stated categorically. Kosher is not for our physical health, but for our spiritual health. It is not for our bodies, but for our souls. It is a Jewish diet to help Jews to remain spiritually sensitive to their Jewishness, to their spirituality. On a deeper, more spiritual level, keeping kosher keeps our Jewish souls sensitive to things Jewish, to our connection to the spiritual world. This is clearly a mystical concept and not really perceived by our senses, by our physical senses. But according to our sages, this is a fact. Just as too much red meat, for instance, or fatty foods are bad for your body, for your cholesterol, the non-kosher foods are bad for your neshama altogether. They clog your spiritual arteries and they prevent those warm, healthy Jewish feelings from circulating through your physical body and through your consciousness. It's very important to have a mezuzah on your door. It identifies your home as a Jewish home. But what really defines your home as a Jewish home is the kitchen. A kosher kitchen makes a Jewish home truly Jewish. It also extends a very warm and eloquent invitation to a fellow Jew. Here, you're welcome. Here, it's safe to come and to eat with us. Make yourself at home. Shabbat Shalom.